Greetings and salutations, everyone. Happy New Year! 2020 is on the doorstep. Wow, it's been quite a great year. My channel has grown. We've had a lot of encounters. I had surgery, and it's been a good year overall. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed to the channel, stayed with the channel, supported the channel. Wow, it's been a really good year. 2019 was pretty good. Tonight I've got a couple of Dogman encounters. I got a couple from subscribers and a couple that made their way to my desk. A quick announcement or kind of question before we get into the links and the encounters. I've been trying to comment back to a certain subscriber. Hopefully they hear this. They had mentioned that my channel is being watched by the powers that be. I've had some weird things happen with my channel, but other than that, nothing major. But I'm freaked out a little bit. I'd like to know what they meant, because when I try to respond, it's like their comment has been deleted by them, or the system has deleted it, because I keep getting system error, try again. And then I go to look at it and it's gone. Hopefully you're listening, and my email is in the description below. Please email me. I would like to talk to you about some things you said in your comments that have struck an interest to me. And the comment that you made today has kind of put me on edge a little bit. So, needless to say, as you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, I've taken enough of your time, guys. Let's welcome the new year in with some Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first encounter comes to us from Tasmania. I've had this memory in the back of my mind since I was about 7. I was fishing with my dad and little brother down at a small river. I got bored and went back to the car. I was playing on my iPad for a couple of minutes until I heard something moving across the river. My dad and brother had walked down the river, and I just assumed they had crossed the river and were walking back. Then I saw a long, pale arm extend from the thick bush across the river, then another arm, then a head of something that looked like a dog but smaller, almost more feline, then a torso, and finally some spindly legs. The thing was slowly walking on all fours across the riverbank. When I saw it, it really didn't strike any fear into me. It locked eyes with me and then kind of stood up with its weird legs and stepped back into the bush. I didn't really feel anything when I saw it, and I didn't even think to tell my dad until we were back at the hotel. And he said I probably saw a stray dog or something, and I believed him for a while until I realized that dogs don't look like a fucking hairless wolf man, Slender Man. Today's second encounter is from a subscriber. I hope you are doing well today. I figured if I was to tell anybody about my past event, you would be one of the few people to believe me. Though I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start with my trip up north when I visited my aunt of mine for a few weeks. Her house had a room in the basement, so that's where I stayed. I tend to overheat at night and like to either walk around or go outside to relax and look at the stars. That day, there had been an animal attack. I can't say wolf for sure because I never managed to see it, but as you will read, I have reasons to believe so. There was a trail of blood leading to the forest from just behind the barn. It led to what was left of a deer. Nothing odd there. On the night, I was restless and chose to go outside on the front porch. When I stepped outside, I was so relieved by the cold I didn't bother to look around at first. Then I noticed the quiet. Now normally you can hear all matter of life up north, even at night, but not then, and it unsettled me, so I took the time to look around before moving any further from the door. At the bottom of the steps was this large wolf. It didn't seem to move once I spotted it, and neither did I. It seemed like time had stopped, and somehow we both tilted our heads as if unspoken question, "What are you doing here?" was in mind. I didn't talk because if I spoke, I felt that breaking the silence would be wrong. Eventually, I almost relaxed and looked away, knowing that it was still there, but that I wouldn't be hurt. After another moment outside, I backed away, never giving my back to it. I stared at it as I closed the screen door, and then when I closed the wooden one, it left. I don't think this was a normal wolf because you could see it was smart and it didn't have any fear or anger. The eyes were beautiful color. They seemed almost dark gold, but that was many years ago now. I can't say the height because the stairs altered my perception, but at a guess, on 4 paws, it was at least 4.5 to 5 feet tall, given the railing's height just a few feet away. Other odd things has happened to me at that house and seem to follow me even now, but this seemed best on your channel. Today's third encounter. This happened many years ago. We were out at the mountains hiking with classmates. A night descent. The other half of the class just decided to stay at the lodge, but we were more cocky and planned to go outside into the wilderness. Our teacher closed the door just to be sure the others wouldn't hang around in the dark and get lost. Let's be honest, she was right. We headed down on a lane when one of my friends just told us that he had to pee. Our teacher answered that she won't open the door, so move behind the house and do his business fast. We laughed at him as he ran behind the cabin with a wide smile on his face. Then a terrifying scream hit our ears. I saw my friend rushing towards us, screaming that something is there. Something is fucking behind the house. We laughed at this, thinking it was just a joke, but before we could finish our congratulations to him, we saw the creature. The creature was at least 5.5 feet tall on 4 legs. Could have been much taller if it was standing on 2. Its arms were similar like a human's arms with long claws, and the legs were like a human's. It rushed towards us just like a man on 4 legs. Its eyes glowed a reddish orange. The face seemed too short to be a dog's, and let me tell you, there is no wolves in the area at all. Not even a bear got reported for years. And the features were between canine and human-like. Long, black, matted hair covered its body. It let out this horrifying roar and started to chase us. The door to the lodge was closed, and we had no time to open it, and our teacher started to run down the road with us, her and me with 10 to 12 of my friends. We dashed into the forest, God knows for what reason. We heard the creature's wheeze, heard it growling, and heard how the tree branches and leaves were crackling under its weight. For a short period, it became louder and louder, but suddenly it got further and further. We circled a large area and returned to the lodge, all of us. We were all shocked, some were crying. Me and one of my friends, who was as brave and curious as I, decided that we were going to ask some of the locals about this thing the next day. Some of them didn't want to talk to us, and some of them told us that yes, there is something hunting around the woods. Some farmers had lost sheep, cows, and even horses, while others' dogs got ripped from their chains and torn apart. We didn't find out more, but I started to do some research on the internet for some similar experiences like mine in my home country, Central Europe. I read a gentleman's report who shared it with others that something huge had killed 16 of his sheep under one night. The door was closed, but whatever the creature was ripped it open and gutted all of his sheep. There are no bear in our country, and they saw huge claw marks on those dead animals. We do have jackal in the area, but what kind of dog-like animal would do that? There are no big cats in this country. Within days, it killed several dogs and sheep. Later, he had seen very huge black creatures running through the tall grass, behind each other in one row, and sometimes people hear a terrifying roar coming from the dark. Even their animals started to behave strangely, so their guardian dogs, just like the cattle and sheep. Knowing our fauna, there is nothing what could do similar things at all. Even a person from the zoo, who knew well countless of animals, confirmed this. Today's fourth Dogman encounter is a subscriber encounter. I actually narrated her very first Dogman encounter on March 16th of 2018. The video's title is Dogman Encounters in Southwestern America. I still live in southern New Mexico, although a fair bit away from where I had my first encounter all those years ago. I actually live in Roswell, New Mexico now. Yes, that Roswell, and have been here for the better part of the last 20 years. About a year and a half ago, a young lady got in contact with me over a strange set of occurrences that were happening at her house on the outskirts of town. For a couple of nights, she had been hearing a large animal climbing up the side of her house and clattering all over her roof. Now, New Mexico is still a pretty wild place, even close to town, so at first she just assumed she had a large raccoon messing around. On the third night, however, things got really scary for her. Now, this woman is a nurse who lives alone and does not seem like the type of person to get spooked by an ordinary animal. She said she was up on her laptop late at night when she heard something crawling at her screen door, making it thump back and forth. Both the doors were locked from the inside because she was getting a little nervous with the noise from outside. She said she put her laptop down and walked into the kitchen and flicked on her porch light so she could get a good look at whatever was messing around on her property. She only saw it for a moment before it dashed away, but that was long enough to scare her right out of the house for a full week before she had contacted me. She said when she turned on the light, she saw a large canine with patchy fur and strange legs, angrily tearing at her screen door with its hands and teeth. I asked her why she said hands at the time, and she said that it had toes too long to be anything but fingers. She said the fur was dark, but its skin was lighter and showed through all over its body. She estimated it to be at least 200 pounds, and, as it seems to be themed with what is being spotted down here, had back legs that were way too long and spindly. After helping this lady out, I put out feelers and kept my ears open for any other incidents that had or might have occurred. The second report I got was from a couple driving around late at night, just this past summer. They were heading home from a movie and were driving through a part of town that is mostly industry lots and open fields when they saw what they thought was a dog hunkered down on the side of the road. They slowed down, not wanting to hit it, as it was very close to the road, and got a very good look at it before it dashed off. They described it as having sickly-looking dark fur, weird wide shoulders, a strange gait because of its long back legs, and an almost human-looking short muzzle. They also described it as being very big, and were both still really upset when I talked to them just hours after their encounter. Now I need you to understand the area where this couple saw this creature is well within the city limits. It's not a highly populated area, but it's still within walking distance of a school, a convenience store, the bank, and a bar. I have 2 more incidences to write out to you, but I'm pretty tired now. I'll save them for later this week. Alright guys, 4 terrifying Dogman encounters. Now, I just want to talk about a couple of things on these 4. We've got one coming from the Australia, or Tasmania, one coming from Central Europe, one from New Mexico, and one coming from the northern part of the United States. All of them have a very, very similar theme tonight. And I didn't do this purposely. I actually realized it while reading. The spindly legs. That's why when I was narrating the last encounter, I emphasized spindly, because it struck me right at that point. I was like, well, now. Pretty interesting that we're seeing spindly, the word spindly. Now, it almost makes me wonder if these are younger Dogman or not. Actually, the one in Central Europe said they were human-like legs, but I'm thinking human legs are not as big as the normal or atypical Dogman encounter we hear. Usually they're jacked like a freaking He-Man. All terrifying encounters. The last encounter, or the last 2 from the subscriber, I'm going to get in touch with her. Actually, I'm going to send her out an email, and I'm going to ask her how she helped that first woman. I literally read it earlier today and didn't think to email her until just now. Let's go figure. Actually, I didn't have time. I was spending time with my daughter. The Tasmanian one, very strange, because he describes it as hairless, but yet werewolf. Very cool. Very cool. Very terrifying, though. I mean, a naked, shaved down Dogman. Fuck that. That's creepy. But wow, the European encounter was definitely just terrifying, because you're walking out with a teacher. Of course, you know, you're a student, so you try to you feel safe. You're with your teacher, and then this animal or creature comes from outside of the building. That's terrifying. But then you run into the woods because the door is locked and you don't have time to get in. Oh my God. Oh my. That's crazy. That is crazy. All great encounters. All really great, terrifying encounters. I love these encounters. I'm trying to think about what to do for tomorrow. I might just re-narrate a couple of my favorite Dogman encounters of 2019 and start 2020 off that way. I'm not really sure. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed these encounters as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. And for the subscriber who had the eerie message, please email me so I know what's going on. I'm a little freaked out. I had a little bit of issues going on with my channel earlier this week, but they were fixed. I don't know. I don't know what he meant. I talked to a friend of mine, and they suggested, because I'm touching basis on, not touching basis, but coming up with ideas and then narrating certain encounters that might not be really liked. A couple police encounters, some military encounters. They actually mentioned the glitches and the inorganic creature theory that I had. I didn't think that was that predominant of a video, but apparently that video creeped him out, and he's got some shit going on with him right now, and we've been talking about it. He's heard some, actually I had mentioned he's got some crazy helicopters flying over his house, really low and quiet at night, black. But he's also heard tree knocks and some howls and growls that he recorded. And during the helicopters flying over his home, his phone would lock up or they would play. Very strange things happened. So he suggested that maybe the old G-Man is checking out J-Dog's channel. Let's hope not. I really hope not. I don't want to mess with the government. Anyway, if they said, hey, you got to stop with your YouTube channel, I'm going to tell them fuck themselves. It's my right. It's First Amendment. Fuck you. But anyway, Happy New Year, guys. And if any of you guys are going out tonight, please be safe. Please have a designated driver. Let's not hurt ourselves or anyone else. Okay, guys? Life is precious. And with that, I'm going to bid you farewell.